In this recording, I'm going to walk you through setting up your first budget in EveryDollar, and I've got a mock budget that we're actually going to go through for our fictional couple. We'll call them Kevin and Amanda. They have a couple kids, they have a dog. Keep in mind that this is a fictional couple and every family situation is different depending on where you live and what kind of work you do. So let's go ahead and get started. If you're watching the video, you'll see I'm recording my screen with the EveryDollar app. This is how it looks on the computer. So if you're doing it on your phone, the categories will be there, but the layout is obviously going to be a bit different. Also, when you first set up your EveryDollar account, it asks you a bunch of starter questions that fills out some of these sections, but I have skipped ahead of those so that and just left them all at 0 so that I could show you all in one take. So we're going to start at the top with your income. And this is your actual take-home pay. So if your income varies, you're going to adjust it as needed and just estimate it. And I want you to list each individual source of income. So in this case, Kevin and Amanda both get paid biweekly. And you can either list each source as just one chunk, or as it defaults in here, you can do paycheck 1 and paycheck 2. So I'm going to say Kevin, paycheck 1, and I'm going to do, it's going to ask me here. Let me turn this off. It's going to ask me if I want to rename it. We'll say Kevin's paycheck 2 also. And we'll say, okay, so say he's got 1,600 here and 1,600 in paycheck 2. And then let's say Amanda, paycheck 1. And she's making, we'll say 1,300, and then paycheck 2. It's 1,300. Now they get paid bi-weekly, so every once in a while they have a paycheck 3. So I'm going to go ahead and create the category for that. But this month is not a month where they get that third paycheck. So I am just going to enter the line and leave the planned amount 0 for this month, but putting it there makes it easier to remember when it does come up. Oops, this should be Amanda. Okay, and you can drag these in income categories. So if you're watching the video, I hovered over it and some little dots showed up, and I can use that to drag these in the order that I want. So I've got all of our income in there. And then next we're going to we'll do our housing. So let me scroll down here to housing. And so they've got a house payment. They're paying $1,450 a month. And they have an electric bill, so we'll put that in here. They have a gas bill, so we'll put that one. They've got $85 for their gas bill. They have $55 for their water bill. And for their cable, they're paying $85 a month. And then they have a trash bill also. So we're just going to say that's $50. And we'll talk in a future lesson about what to do with those expenses that are every couple months. But for now, I'm just going to list out say they're all due this month. Now, one thing I like to do, you'll notice in EveryDollar that the phone bill defaults down here in personal. I don't really like it there because it feels more like a house expense. So it's totally up to you, but I delete mine from down there. And then I come up here to housing, and I'm going to say phone. And their phone, let's say they're paying $120 a month. Okay, now we're going to go to our transportation. And so we have gas, and they're paying $220. They must not be in California. And their car maintenance, they're not expecting anything for this month, so they're just going to put $50 as a just in case. And then we'll go on to their food. So for groceries, they're planning on $900. And for restaurants, they're planning on $500 for this first budget. Okay, and then let's go to their personal. So let's see, they're planning on some clothing. They decided to put $75. They put fun money. They did some his and hers fun money, which is something I suggest for couples to do. And so they did a fun money for Amanda for $40. And they did a fun money for Kevin for $40. And then let's see, they've got some haircuts, so we'll put that in. So say they decided it was going to be easier to plan these separate because Kevin's haircuts are pretty routine and Amanda's not so much. So we're going to say haircuts Kevin, and that's going to be 50 this month. And well, Amanda is getting a whole thing done, and so she's gonna put $250 for this month. And then they've got their monthly subscriptions, and they're gonna put their monthly subscriptions in at $50. Okay, and now let's see. So they've got pet care. They decided they wanted to pay a little bit more attention to their pet expenses, so they decided to make its own section. So they went down here and added a group and called it pet care. And then they deleted pet care from lifestyle. And then down in this pet care section, let's move that up here. We'll put it right there. And what they added, let's see, we're going to have dog food. We're going to say 55. And then they put the vet and 50. And they're not expecting anything. They just kind of put some just in case money. They put some pet supplies. They could have all this together if they wanted to, but they decided to be a little bit more granular. And then maybe they said, oh, they need a pet sitter sometime. So they don't need one this month, but they're just going to leave a placeholder for the pet sitter. So that's their pet section. And then onto their lifestyle section. For childcare, they've got some aftercare, so they're paying $400 a month. And then they have some kids activities. So they added a section for that, and they put those in at $120 a month. And then their entertainment, they're planning for $60 this month. And their gifts and holidays, they said they're going to put $100. And then miscellaneous, they said they'll put $75. All right, and then they've got their health section. So they both have a gym membership. So I'm going to put this at 80. And then medicine and vitamins, they've got 40 that they're expecting. And they do have a couple doctor's visits, so they've got some copays. So we're going to put 50 this month. And then their insurance, health insurance is coming out of their paycheck already, so they're just going to delete that one. But they do have a couple of life insurance policies, so we'll put 70 here. And they do have car insurance, so they're going to put 180 here. And then their homeowner's insurance is rolled into their mortgage, so they're just going to delete this section. And then they do have identity theft coverage because I talked to their coach and she said it was a good idea. And so they're paying like $12 a month. Okay, and then they do have some giving. So let's go back up to the top. And they're doing $580 right here for their giving every month. Okay, and then now let's come down to their debts. This should be interesting. Okay, so to add a debt, you can see I clicked add debt, and then if you're in the web app, the details show up over here on the right. And so first one we have is Chase Freedom. And this is a credit card, and we'll put the balance on that one is $3,100, and their minimum payment is $75. And we're just going to skip the interest rate for now. And then we'll say $75 goes in the plan for that one. So let's add in the rest of their debts here. They've got another credit card, and this one is $4,200. And oh no, I'm sorry, this one's only $400. And their minimum payment on this one is just $20. And you'll see how they just changed the order on those. It's because it's putting this from smallest to largest. And let's see if they've got, oh, there's another credit card. And this one, they owe $7,800. And their minimum payment is like $300. Okay, and then let's see. Oh, they've got a couple car loans. So they've got Kevin's car. And Kevin owes $48,000. They owe $48,000 on his car, and his payment is about $800 a month. And then Amanda also has a car loan, and hers is about $14,000. And her payment, she's been paying on hers for a bit. Her payment's about $400 a month. Okay, and then, oh, we've got some student loans also. So we're going to have Kevin, student loan 1. And his first one is about $4,000, and that minimum payment is, it's just $100. And then we've got Kevin's student loan 2. And that one is about $14,000. And that minimum payment is $200. And then Amanda has a couple student loans. So her first one is $16,500, but she's actually still finishing. She just finished up school, and so her student loan payments haven't kicked in yet. So there's not a minimum payment. EveryDollar won't let you leave zero, so we're just going to put $1 in the minimum payment, and then in the planned amount we'll put 0 for that one. Student loan 2, and that one is, we'll say, $12,000, and that one also doesn't have a minimum payment yet because she just finished up school, so we can add that. And then, oh, they also have a 401k loan at Kevin's job. And so we're going to select that debt type 401k, and he owes $10,000. And we're not, the minimum payment isn't really going to apply to this one because it's already coming out of his check. But EveryDollar won't let us leave 0, so we're just going to put $1 there and add debt. And now we have all of their debts. And so as you can see at the top right now, they are $1,957 over budget. And so they've definitely got some things. Oops, and we missed a student loan here. Let me put this payment in. That payment is $200. Okay, so they're actually about $2,157 over budget. So they've definitely got some work to do to make this more manageable. So what are some different things that they could do? Well, as we talked about in the lesson, one thing they could say is right now, both of them are contributing to their retirement. And they went through this course and they realized, oh, wait, we don't need to be contributing to retirement right now. It is super important, but we got to take care of this debt first. And so they paused their retirement, and they were both able to put a little bit back in their paycheck every month. And so let's say that bumped this up to $1,800 for Kevin and $1,500, whoopsies, for Amanda. So that took care of a big chunk right there, getting some of that back in the paycheck. And then they decided, okay, well, we're gonna cut cable. So they canceled their cable and decided to use streaming services instead. So they zeroed that one out. And then they forgot to put some annual renewals in here. So I'm going to put Amazon Prime, but the good thing is that one doesn't renew just yet. So we're going to say Amazon Prime and we'll say October. So they've got some time to figure that one out. Okay, and so they decided to cut back a little bit on their gifts. So let's take that down to 50. And then they're still really, really crunched for space here, right? And so what are some options that they would have? Well, some other things like we talked about, they can work on bringing in some extra income. Definitely recommend doing that if your budget is looking like theirs, which is a lot of people's when it starts. Something else they can do is call their different card providers and see if they can reduce the interest, which will also reduce your monthly minimum payment, and that frees up more to be able to throw at the other ones. Big opportunity that they have is right here with Kevin's car loan. So Kevin has a $48,000 car loan and a massive monthly payment. If he could get rid of that payment, the rest of this would be much more manageable. And so what he could do is he could say, okay, I'm going to sell my $48,000 car and I'm going to, go trade it in if you need to. If you're upside down, you might need to trade it in, but if you can sell it for someone private sale, you're going to get more money for it. But he decided to sell his car. And so he was able to get down his car payment down to $200. That makes this math a lot easier, right? And so it's different things like that. Maybe we're going to go, we sold the car, so now our car insurance payment went down a little bit. And so that gave us, oh wait, now let's look at restaurants. Maybe, hey, we're going to spend a little bit less on restaurants this month. And let's spend a little bit less on groceries this month. So you can see, depending on how much you're over or under when you first start, that will determine your next goal. So if you start your budget and this number at the top is red, your first goal is to try to get that to break even. And that might just be some little refining of some things, maybe some canceling some small things, and it might mean some big decisions like whether you need to make an adjustment to your housing or make an adjustment to your vehicle. So I hope that was helpful, and I'll see you in the next lesson.